Tonight I'm gonna show you how to make a track in Ableton Live using only Ableton samples and instruments in less than 20, just over 15 minutes. We'll be making this track what you hear in the background. Make sure to stick around. I am just going to hit record and we're gonna record. We will be using Simpler as our bassline and maybe some keys. We are going to use Impulse for beats because that's what I use. I know you could use drum rack, but I just used to Impulse. I like to separate the drums, as you saw it in a previous videos before. We might gonna use a third-party sample pack. So I only have a standard. Now, if you buy the full suite, you have more instruments, but with the standards, you get enough to create beats, and it's have a lot of stuff, a lot of instruments, a lot of samples comes with. You know what? Why don't we just get into it? We are going to use, let's say, 1, 2, 3 impulse, and then we are going to use a simpler. So this is what we are going to use, and 2 simpler. So we're gonna call this bass, and then we are going to call this keys, and then the 3 impulse, we are using it as the kick. So we're gonna name this closed hat. That's what C hat means. And then O hat. So we have a kick, a closed hat, an O hat, and then we are going to add another impulse in here. And then we're gonna name that clap because we're gonna use a clap sample there. All right. So now what we're going to do, we're going to drums, sounds. We're gonna go 909. Which one we should? Bing, bang, boom, 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 bing. We're gonna use a G. We're gonna use this one. We're gonna go all the way, and we're gonna build every, like the way I learned it without the proper way to say this. You just go 1, and then the different color the second, and the different color the third. That's why they're different colors, but it's every 4th beat is a kick on this, right? And ooh, a little too loud. We are going to use a limiter on the master channel because I like to keep my sounds. I'm gonna go down to -12. It's just because when you're actually finishing a song, you will have to mix it down that much anyways for mix and master. But we know that we are not going to get into that in this video for sure. So not even in my channel. We're just gonna focus on fun stuff as I advertised. No mixing, no mastering, just pure creating music and having fun. Okay. So we have the kick, we have the limiter and the master. I'm gonna turn this down to -12 because that's where the kick gonna sit. Now let's go and play it. And then now you can turn up the limiter to like whatever, +5 if you want, because it's a -12. And then we can hear it better, right? So, all right, so let's find a closed hat. C hat in samples. Okay, we're gonna use this as a closed hat, this as an open hat, and then we're gonna build. So with the closed hat, I like to just randomly, so I like jacking beats. So what I'm gonna do here, that's what you're gonna notice, that that I like the off hats. I mean, normally you could build every second and then but this is what I like. So let's listen to it. They don't sound great at the moment, but once we put the open hat in, you will understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. So this is going to be about here. It just have that really good groove, right? You know what I mean? And then we are going to get a 909 clap. There you go. And then we're gonna get the 808 clap too. For some reason, the 808 clap, it's like a little brighter. You hear this and that? Actually not, but we're gonna use both. Okay. Anyway, so here's where the clap goes. And then let's listen to it. Let's turn this down to -12. And then what we are going to do, I'm going to put the decay up on the 909 clap. And then maybe we turn the decay down a little bit here. Maybe on... Okay, so there you go. We have a beat. And then now the other part is building a bass line, right? So that's kind of cool, but we're not making drum and bass here right now. So yes, we are going to use the simpler right here, which is in instruments, replacing the simpler, and find the bass sound now. Oh, how about that one? It's kind of cool. Okay, so let's just randomly record some stuff and see how it goes. Let's see what's going on in here. Quantize and let's see how it sounds. So we're gonna use those keys. We're gonna turn the bass down a little bit because I think it's too loud. Okay, now we are going to find the key. Okay, let's see what we got here. Okay, we can put some delay on this. How about that? How about the delay? Okay, let's see. Let's make this a little punchy and placing a glue compressor on the bass so the kick, it will be good. All right, let's do this. Yeah! Okay. Silly Ben. All right, so let's do this glue compressor on the bass. I turn everything off but the kick. We're gonna do sidechain with kick. And we're gonna turn the, well, let's see how it sounds. We have a kick, we have a closed hat, we have an open hat, we have our bass, and then there's weird keys or whatever. So let's go! Ooh, you know what would be really cool in this? A high pitch synth like ding in the background, right? Like in the old school days with like sidechain. Try it out. So we are going to place in another instrument, another simpler, because that's what we have, and then we're gonna call it high lead. Let's name it that, and we are going to find a sample. Then I try to find a key in Ableton because I have no clue. I go and find the tuner in the effects tuner, and then we are going to find the bass key. It's an E. So now we're going to lead because we have the bass key, and then I am going to do an E, probably a higher pitch E. I'm gonna show you what I'm doing. So I have these keys on the top of my keys, if that makes sense, the key, the letters. And then this is an E. And then we're gonna try to make an EE. Does that make sense? Because it doesn't. Okay, we're gonna find something different because I don't think this works on here. It's a really cool sound, but it won't work. Won't work. Well, that could work. Well, let's see how it sounds. That's what we are here for, right? So let's go. Okay, so we are having this here. I'm gonna make this bigger so you can see. And then we are kind of one off of the 8s or 16s here. So that's what we are going to do. Oh shit. That's what we are going to do. We're just gonna make these longer. And then you have to overlap them to have the sound. Okay. Okay, so let's see. Okay, I'm gonna put this here. I'm gonna extend this all the way. Okay, so this one have to go all the way here too, and then now we just copy this over here, and maybe we could use the same glue compressor what we have on the bass, place it in here. We're gonna call this as weird lead, and yeah, let's go. Let's see how it sounds. Okay, so here you go. We're going somewhere. So why don't we do this? This is a groove video, so we're just kind of making a groove out of Ableton's built-in instruments and samples. This sounds pretty okay to me. The only thing I would add on in here is it's a fast hat. We are placing in another impulse. We're gonna call it fast hat. And then place it next to the hats. We are going to find a sample. You use this, put it all the way up, And then the reason I call it fast head because I'm just going all in here. And then it's kind of like it fasted up in the background because those synths that we put in here, they are pretty slow-ish, but it's really powerful, right? So let me know in the comments, what do you think? And then let's see how it sounds. Now we built a groove, built a track idea in a few minutes in just using Ableton instruments and sounds. Let's play around with it, see how it sounds, and I will have the samples, the Ableton file and everything down below in the comments as always, and maybe you could make something out of this. And this is it. I hope you learned something how to make a groove in Ableton in a few minutes. Peace, peace.